What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at Our Adventurer Guild, an indie TRPG that released just a few months ago in 2024, and it was received fairly well, I would say, with overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam, and it's my understanding that this was made by a single developer. Now, frankly, I was pretty busy when this released, but now that we're in that part of the year where I've been able to catch up while we simply wait for new games to release, it was time to take a look back at this one. So, right away, I would say that this game combines traditional TRPG stuff with a few fun elements, like a solid sense of humor and some exploration, alongside, of course, turn-based combat to come up with something that's pretty fun. So let's actually dive into this thing. So this game kicks off with you having inherited, so to speak, an adventurer's guild from your dearly departed friend. Having become the new guild master, it's your task, essentially, to get the guild up to its old self again as it has fallen on hard times. This naturally involves recruiting all sorts of adventurers to take on quests and missions for you, TRPG style, and also managing, of course, story objectives, the relations between party members, and the people helping you run your guild. And the game is largely divided up into that management section, of course, and then the actual missions themselves. So the management side is pretty straightforward if you've ever played a TRPG. There's a multitude of buildings, they all do different things for you, such as giving your injured adventurers a place to rest, get their morale up, outfit them accordingly with the best gear you happen to be able to find or craft, buy supplies for your missions, the usual stuff. But then there's the missions themselves. So you will, of course, select a group of adventurers to send out on a given quest, which plops you into the actual mission, which involves a little bit of exploration with turn-based battles. Now, this portion of the game uses a sort of miniature look to things, and will move our miniature around the area to either encounter enemies or collect resources or simply track down a quest objective like gathering certain items, etc. But there are a couple of other noteworthy things because we can actually have a few different interactions with the environment or occasionally set story sequences where combat might not be your only option. So this will involve using your character's skills to overcome an obstacle of some sort, such as simply removing an obstacle literally, or in certain instances, you might have the ability to talk your way around a situation rather than fighting outright, which can see you making a dice roll with one of your character's stats in order to make that happen, giving you a sort of text event in these instances. And while, let's be honest, the focus is obviously on combat, given that this is a TRPG, there are still a few options in terms of how you engage with both missions and any individual scenario. Now, the main thing we get from missions is, of course, gold to pay all of our adventurers, experience to level them up, and some of that sweet, sweet loot. But character progression in particular seems pretty interesting. As you gain experience from all of this stuff, they will eventually level up for you, and you can then take them to the training grounds to spend the skill points that they'll be getting on a skill tree that involves basic things, but also skills related to their class, which will give them new abilities and things to use in combat, alongside any gear that you might be outfitting them with. And there's a whole host of different classes to choose from. There's a bunch to start out with, but as you attract more trainers back to the Adventurer Guild, you can unlock more and more specializations for any of these characters you want to customize, and then as they level up, they roll their stats as well, giving them increases to their base as well, on top of that. And then there's the usual stuff like the appearance customization for all of these different characters. You can name and customize them to your heart's content. But then there's combat. Now, when we encounter other miniatures on the mission maps here, they will chase you down if you don't outright engage them, and that draws you into a battle map. And this is a pretty standard turn-based affair where you'll roll for initiative, and then on your character's turns, they have a set amount of action points that they can use to do things like move, interact with the environment, use their abilities, etc. And how much you get out of that is largely going to depend on things like the composition of the adventurers you've brought with you, and their stats versus the enemies, of course. But what is somewhat unique is the game's bravery system. Each character has an associated bravery stat that they can actually spend on individual moves that make them heroic actions instead, which powers up some things you do, such as giving you a dramatically better chance to hit, just to name one prominent example. So I would say combat is, at the very least, engaging enough if you enjoy this type of game. And that, I would say, is really just about everything important to know about our Adventurers Guild, which seemed like a fun little game that I just wanted to talk about for a moment, so here we are. And if you're curious about any of this for yourself, there's actually a demo available over on Steam as well, with the game itself normally being $15. Now, speaking for myself, I would say that this is the kind of game that I would enjoy playing in short bursts while I'm traveling or something, which is normally a good place for the Steam Deck to come in. But in terms of the Steam Deck for this specifically, it has a lack of controller support at the moment, but it's my understanding that that is actually being worked on now, which I think would go a long way there specifically. So hopefully that controller support gets added at some point, but in either event, I thought it was a neat little game worth talking about. So that is pretty much going to do it for this video. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Let me know how you feel about this one down in the comment section below. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.